Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Legends of Sport podcast. I'm your host, as always, Andy Bernstein. As we continue to celebrate Women's History Month, it's really special for me to bring this episode's guest to all of you. Her name is Meghan Duggan, and she is a legend on and off the ice rink. Born and raised in the Boston area, Meghan went on to be a star athlete at the University of Wisconsin. She played for USA Hockey for 14 stellar seasons, competed in 3 Olympics, winning silver in 2010 and 2014 and gold in 2018. She also won an astounding 7 World Championship gold medals. Meghan played professionally for 6 years and officially retired from playing hockey in 2020. Meghan was a leading advocate for gender equitable treatment by USA Hockey when she and her teammates went on strike before the 2017 World Championships. It was a bold and risky move, but one that she and her teammates felt had to be made, and it succeeded big time. In a true full circle experience, Meghan now serves on the board of directors of USA Hockey. She's a very involved member of the Women's Sports Foundation and of the Professional Women's Hockey Players Association. Meghan is a working mom and a very vocal advocate for many, many social issues, including LGBTQ plus advocacy, gender equality, leadership, and women's empowerment. Check out her TEDx talk, People Matter, and you'll get a real sense of how passionate and eloquent Meghan is. Also on this podcast, by the way. And oh yeah, in her spare time, she serves as director of player development for the NHL's New Jersey Devils. From someone who has been in hockey my whole career, it's great to see women moving up the ranks in the NHL across the league. I really enjoyed this conversation with Meghan Duggan, and getting to know her a little bit was just a bonus. She's incredibly inspiring. So sit back and enjoy this episode, and as always, I'll see you on the backside. Well, I want to welcome Meghan Duggan to the Legends of Sport podcast, a true legend of women's hockey. Meghan, so great to connect with you. Thanks so much for making the time today.
Yeah, my pleasure. No, it's an honor to be asked to join you. So I'm looking forward to the discussion.
Well, I appreciate it. Listen, I have to preface all of this because you've probably, if you did your research about me, I'm known for basketball, right? I've been in the NBA 40 plus years, but my passion is hockey. All right. I mean, I say that to all my hockey guests, and it's true. I grew up a ridiculous Rangers fan in Brooklyn.
Oh, great.
I know you grew up outside of Boston. So tell me something. Were you a Bruins fan growing up?
Yeah. It's tough to say now working for New Jersey Devils,
Right.
but
Right.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
certainly no secret. I grew up north of Boston in Danvers, Mass, and
Uh-huh.
really grew up big, Boston sports fan all
Yeah.
across the board.
Yeah.
Bruins, Red Sox, Patriots, Celtics, the whole thing. And
Yeah.
my family's still, big Boston sports fans. They all cheer for the teams I've, played with or been a part of or now
Right.
work for. So I've turned them into Devils fans as well. But
That's awesome.
but yeah, big Boston sports family.
Yeah. Well, my backstory, just so that you know, is that a Brooklyn kid. I end up going to UMass Amherst, right?
Oh, great.
So you know how insane, the sports fans are in the Boston area. I wouldn't have had any friends if I hadn't become some kind of a Boston fan. And I adopted the Red Sox and the Patriots. I didn't have an NFL team, and my team was the Mets, so I didn't have an American League team. God forbid I was a Yankee fan. But my best friend and I, to this day, this is 45 years later, we still argue over the Rangers and Bruins from back in the 70s. It's crazy. Anyway,
Yeah,
I
it's
digress.
all good though. Sports rivalries and
Yeah.
sometimes they get a little carried away, right? When you see some of the bad stuff that goes on when it comes to fans and sports rivalries. But honestly, when you think
Sure.
about just the excitement that sports bring into people's lives
Yeah.
and getting that excited about something and
Sure.
the people that it brings together, it's awesome to be a part of. So I welcome all the sports rivalries and
Yeah. For
certainly was a
sure.
part of a lot of them in my career, and it's
Mhm.
fun to talk about.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you're deep into one now in New York with the 3 teams there. How did it start for you? I mean, I've talked to many iconic women in sports, even going back to, Manon Rhéaume and Nancy Lieberman and Ann Myers Drysdale. And, they had to play with the boys. They Was that the same for you? Because there really wasn't women's or girls hockey for you growing up, right?
Yeah, similar story. So I was born in '87, north of Boston, like I said, up in Danvers, Mass, and really started playing hockey in the early '90s. I had an older
Mhm.
brother who played, and a lot of friends and family friends that all played. And really, Danvers was a strong hockey community, a great youth program, and
Mhm.
so wanted to be like my older brother, jumped out on skates kind of in the Learn to Skate program when I was 3 years old, and just fell in love with it. So I stayed, yeah, as the only
Mm.
girl, I knew or saw or heard about in my community, playing on all boys teams all growing up
Yeah.
until until I was high school age. And I ended up going on to Cushing Academy and playing in my, girls hockey there and on to college. But yeah, growing up, played with all the boys and everything. I played baseball, I played soccer, I played on a boys team and a girls team, but hockey was it was boys team. I played on my local Danvers team, and then I played on a select team out of Charlestown, Mass. Same
Mhm.
thing, only girls. So, but it was all that I knew,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I had the support of my team, my parents, all the other parents, and I was part of a really great youth hockey program that welcomed me, and it wasn't an issue.
Mhm.
It was just what I did. So
Mhm. Yeah.
um, I wasn't really exposed to girls and women playing hockey, as I said, until high school, and certainly not elite, girls and women playing hockey really until the '98 Olympics.
Right.
And I had an opportunity to see women compete on that stage.
Yeah, amazing. When I was at UMass, this is 75 to 78, UMass didn't even have a men's hockey team. It was like a club team that played at Amherst College in a non-heated rink. And we used to go over there just because we had a couple of friends who played, but there was no women's hockey whatsoever.
Right.
And it's
Yeah.
it's amazing, and looking at your career, I mean, when you went to Wisconsin, I mean, you're going to a huge hockey
Yep.
powerhouse for men's hockey, of course. But how big was hockey then for women when you were in Wisconsin?
It was huge, actually.
Yeah.
When I went to Wisconsin, the women's team there was coming off of a national championship
Mm.
when I went into my freshman year, and we actually won my freshman year as well. So the program was back to back, which was pretty special to be a part of. But that team was at the pinnacle of women's college hockey at the time. Led by at the time and still now Mark Johnson, who
Yeah.
really needs no introduction in the hockey world, and
Right.
was just littered with players, national team. Um, Potential players on that
Mhm.
team. A lot of girls I played in the Olympics with, and women that have gone on to play different pro levels and work at NHL teams. And so it was
Mhm.
a real hockey hotbed, and that was something I was excited about being a part of. I
Yeah.
wanted to go
Yeah.
to a program that was big time, Big Ten, like college athletics, and learn from a lot of the elite players and elite staff and coaching
Mhm.
that was there, and it was a great fit for me.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, what a great career you had. Mark Johnson, of course, speaks for himself. Um, And the support for the team from the student body was probably amazing, right? I would think.
It was, and that was something I really was eager to be a part of.
Yeah. Mhm.
We would pack our rink. Even now, I think at the Laban Arena, which is the women's rink now, we played in the Kohl Center, which we shared with the men. But now the women have their own rink, and they sell
Wow.
out every game. And it's one of the most highly attended women's college hockey teams in the country.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact data, but it has to be, and I've heard it has. So great community support, great student body support.
Mhm.
And we were treated like pros.
Yeah.
I was an 18-year-old kid, and I was really lucky to be a
Yeah.
part of a university like that. And it was my first experience of, wow, this is big time, chartered planes and brand new equipment, and the support and resources, and the way they take care of their athletes. It was special. And on the women's side, we
Yeah.
have our challenges with being treated like professionals, right? At times, and you hear about all the struggles that women's pro hockey has gone through. So that was, to be in college and to have that star treatment was really special, and I know it's only continued there. So great program, and I'm really, obviously, as you can tell, proud to be a Badger and have played for that team, and
Yeah.
be a part of that group.
Now, when you were in Wisconsin, you were playing against the rivalry was with Minnesota, right? And
Big
Michigan.
rivalry.
Right.
Yeah.
So you were playing against the Lamoureux sisters, right? Who became your teammates later on.
Yeah.
And, their book, incredibly eloquent, how they describe exactly what you talked about, being in an elite college program and then going to the national team and taking like major steps backwards. I mean,
Hmm.
are we really playing under these conditions? And we're not funded. We're third class citizens to the men across the board in any sport, but in your sport especially, right? So, they
Yeah.
spoke about it, but I'd love to get your viewpoint on that. If that was a shocking realization once you got to USA Hockey.
Yeah, and it's my experience, yes, their book's fantastic. I have it right here on the bookshelf
Mhm.
behind me.
Yeah.
Two of my just near and dear friends, teammates,
Mhm.
women that I just respect and admire to the nth degree, and so happy that they were able to tell their story through their book. And I was so happy that our careers, ran concurrently with each other,
Yeah.
because we really had some amazing experiences. And yeah, I played against them their freshman year. They played at the University of Minnesota. Then they actually transferred to North Dakota. So
Right.
same
Right.
conference,
Yeah.
played against them there as well. And
Mhm.
yeah, we had some really, really good battles on the ice, certainly. But together on the national team, we were part of, as they talk about in their book, we were part of a group that really worked to lead our program forward in terms of what you were just talking about, the treatment, the support, both, financially, but just general support of what it takes to be an athlete,
Mhm.
insurance, travel, athlete care, right? How we take care of the athletes, the ice times, the all these different things.
Mhm.
And so we were part of a group, Jocelyn, Monique, myself, variety of other, leadership on our team, to make some of those changes and to
Mhm.
kind of bang on USA Hockey. And obviously we, got into a pretty public debate with them back there in 2017 ahead of boycotting the World Championships. But it was something that needed to happen. We
Mhm.
had started having conversations on bus trips and around dinner tables about inequities that we were seeing. And myself and the other leadership group that I mentioned, we'd been around long enough, and we knew enough to know that we had to do something in order to change it, not just for us, but 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road. Like someone
Sure.
had to step up and help make these changes. And certainly, much longer story of everything that went into it,
Mhm.
and a lot of which Jocelyn and Monique get into in their book. But it was, something that probably one of the most proud moments in my career,
Mhm.
of us being able to make those changes, and then go on to win a couple gold medals after that, and really cement kind of our worth
Yeah.
at that
Yeah.
point too.
It was risky, of course, but
There was.
you had a righteous cause and you guys succeeded. And then, less than what, 5 years later or so, you're then on the board of USA Hockey. I mean, my good friend Phil Jackson would call that a full circle life event.
Yeah.
I mean, do you pinch yourself like, wow, this was amazing? Like we were battling with them for everything that we fought for, we succeeded. And now I'm on the other side of the table, basically, making sure that that's passed forward from my generation to the next.
Yeah, and you know what? My mission and my existence to be continually involved in USA Hockey is to really just continually bring that perspective from the women's side, and what that team needs to compete and to be elite and to continue to bring success back to the program. And
Mhm.
I've really, since I was 18, 19 years old and I made my first national team, I've given my whole life to USA Hockey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everything. When I think about the hours put in and what I would do for that program when I was on the team. And so staying involved, keeping close relationships there, participating in that capacity
Mhm.
is certainly important to me, and something that makes a lot of sense, really, for how passionate I am about
Yeah.
hockey in the United States.
Yeah, to me, just thinking about your bio and doing a lot of research and learning about you, like the one word really that comes to mind for me, there's two words. One is relentless, which reminds me of my good friend Kobe, and that was one of the founding pillars of the Mamba mentality was relentlessness. Since never giving up, right?
Mhm.
But also busy. I mean, like you're like so busy. The stuff
Yeah.
I mean, we have pages of stuff that you are still doing. I mean, how do you find time for all of this? How do you balance it all?
Yeah, good question, honestly. Sometimes I don't know. I am a mom of 2 young kids
Yeah,
too,
I
and
know.
that's probably the most important aspect of my life,
Mhm,
being with them and, obviously raising kids and, to go out in this world and to do great things. But
mhm,
I'm just a passionate person. I've always probably spread myself a little bit too thin. But I enjoy, giving and being involved, staying up on things, asking questions,
mhm.
adding value wherever I can. And so I am, careful and particular about what I engage in and what I'm involved with
Mhm.
because as you said, I don't want anything else that I'm involved with to fall under because I am busy, right?
Right,
And
right,
and I value my family and my job and my work with the foundation and my work with the NHL Player Inclusion Committee
right.
and so I think it's just my passion drives me. I love being around people too,
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
love building new relationships and so it's I keep myself busy, but it's all good. And I still do find time to set boundaries and to make sure that I'm taking time for myself and my family as well because I've learned being involved in so many things that that's the best way to recharge and be able to give my full self to everything that I'm a part of.
Yeah, for sure. Like I have four kids. Three of them are daughters, and I
Nice.
was raising kids when I was my crazy job too.
Yeah,
And
it's wild.
I know how it goes.
Yeah,
And then in your spare time, you found time to train and run in the 2022 New York City
I
Marathon.
did.
I think I
Yeah.
have to add that in there. I don't know how you did
Yeah.
that. Can we
I
talk
forget
about
sometimes, so it's funny to
incredible?
hear someone say that.
Yeah. Right. Could you describe the job that you have for the New Jersey Devils? It's in player development. And
Yep.
how did it come about? And what's kind of your daily sort of routine with that job?
Yeah, so my role is director of player development with the New Jersey Devils.
Mhm,
Been in it about 2 years now, and my role really is to, high level is to try to maximize the talent in our player pool. Right, when you think about when we acquire players through the draft, younger players, our prospects, when we acquire them
mhm,
through the draft or through trades or however we get them, helping them in their life cycle to become full-time NHL players and impact our organization, right? So
mhm.
you look at this most recent draft, you draft a young kid, he's 18, 19 years old, right? And so
Okay.
there's a lot that's expected of these guys, especially if they're taken really high. And, in the last couple of years, we've been, I would say, fortunate, but not fortunate to have some really high picks.
Mhm,
And so putting a support system and a plan in place to help those, young, priority important prospects in their life cycle to become, like I said, full-time NHL players and impact our team. And as you can imagine, there's a lot that goes into that on the
mhm.
ice, off the ice,
Yeah.
mentally, cognitively, and physically, and tactically, and all of that. So just helping manage the group that really owns that development department, and it's exciting.
Mhm,
It's everything from in game like live viewings and reporting on players and really having a great understanding of how they're playing and how they're trending, as
mhm,
well as the strategy piece, like where are we going, how are we going to better support these guys,
mhm,
what's their NHL ETA, like when are they going to be ready to play. So there's a lot of great things that go into it. It's incredibly stimulating to me. I love it. Obviously keeps me close to the game
mhm,
and it's a great organization. And
mhm.
that brings me to the other part of your question is like, how did this come about?
Yeah.
Um, and it really came about, naturally and organically after having some conversations with our management staff and Tom Fitzgerald and Dan McKinnon and Kate Madigan. And this was, 2 years ago now, winter, early spring, 2 years ago in 2021.
Mhm,
And I was just really poking around a little bit. I was building out a network list of, maybe people I knew in the league that I wanted to talk to just to pick their brains. What's out there? What does the landscape look like? I've always wanted to be involved once I was ready to kind of jump back in after retiring from playing and having my son, like what's out there now, and where is there a space for me? Where can I add value? And so I had some really great conversations back then with, as I mentioned, our management staff, and it led me to this role.
Hmm.
And the one thing I'll say about that as well is just it. I couldn't be happier that I landed in New Jersey because of the group that we have there. And I
Hmm.
think, it's no secret that women are few and far in between. In hockey operations in the NHL, there's a handful of us across the league, right?
Right.
But this is an organization that believes wholeheartedly in that. As you can tell, we have a female assistant general manager as well, in Kate Madigan, and
Mhm.
just values diversity of thought, valued my hockey background,
Mhm.
and is all about people. And
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
I'm all about. So great
Yeah.
organization to be a part of. I'm thankful and excited about the role that I'm in, and look forward to helping us, keep pushing forward this year and beyond.
Yeah. As you're speaking, I'm thinking of my conversation with Manon Riom, and 30 years ago now, 30 years, a few months, she was the first woman to play in the NHL, as we all know.
Was it 30 years
Yeah, it
ago?
was 1992, October
Oh, that's
1992, in
unbelievable.
a preseason game. And
Wow.
Phil Esposito, who was I don't know if you even know this, but he was the GM of the Tampa Bay Lightning. They were an
Hmm.
expansion team. It was a publicity stunt. He admitted it after the fact, not at the time, but later on. He admitted it was a publicity stunt.
Wow.
And how far things have come. I mean,
Hmm.
as a guy with three daughters, one of them's 15, plays soccer, and my other daughters, grew up with the WNBA as it started. Um, it just it warms my heart. I mean, really,
Yeah,
and for you as well, because where you started as well. But to have women in the front office at the NHL, and it is few and far between, but there's some significant women in very powerful roles in the NHL. I mean, there's a whole
completely
list
agree.
I have this list here. Um,
Hmm.
it shouldn't, at some point it shouldn't be, oh, it's a woman,
Yep.
who cares?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, right? Someday a woman will be the head coach of an NHL team or an NBA team or what have you. How far away do you think we are? Because hockey, I think, is a little bit behind basketball. I think we're pretty close to
Yeah.
an NBA head coach being a woman. Do you see it happening at some point soon? What do you think?
At some point, yes, I see it
Yeah,
happening. At some point soon, I don't know if I see it
yeah,
happening,
yeah,
but define soon, right? It's different for
right.
everyone.
Yeah.
I think you just hit the nail on the head. We've come so far. It's amazing. When I look at the league, I look in our own organization. I already mentioned Kate Madigan, like
Mhm.
unbelievable leader, a woman that will be a general manager in the NHL one day, like no
Mhm.
question. Mark my words. When I've seen the work that she's done, I can't wait to see her rise to that spot. Same for you look at Cami Granado and Emily Castonguay out in Vancouver, right? You
Yeah.
look at some Canadian legends, Haley Wickenheiser, Danielle Goyette in Toronto. You got Kendall Coyne working in Chicago, Bridget Lequette, Sid Daniels. I could go on and on. All
Yeah,
these
Blake
these
Bolden
women.
here working for the
Blake
kid.
Bolden,
I
exactly.
I work for the kid.
Um,
I mean, it's wonderful. It's great.
yeah, yeah. So it's incredibly exciting. We've come a long way. 2, 3, 4 years ago, we weren't sitting in this position, right? Half those women that I just named weren't in these roles. Maybe all of them weren't. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so it's very exciting. Certainly a long way to go, right? And we see that in hockey across the board
Yeah.
when it comes to inclusion, right? Like
Mhm.
I'm a member of the NHL Player Inclusion Committee, um, we talk all the time just about inclusion in hockey, whether it's women or players of color,
Mhm.
LGBTQ plus community members. And so I
Mhm.
just think hockey as a sport still has a long way to go. And we see it every day with things that are happening. But,
Mhm.
I'd be really remiss not to mention like how far we've come.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm just excited, as you are as well, it
Yeah.
sounds, is to just see when is that first GM, female GM, gonna break through. Like when is there going to be a woman on an NHL bench?
Mhm.
That'll be a really really great day,
Yeah.
and I'm
Yeah.
excited for it.
I remember when my older girls were young, and the beginning of the WNBA, and going to the Forum before the Sparks moved to Staples Center, and here's Lisa Leslie and Tina Thompson and all these great college women, but who now have the opportunity to play professionally. And my girls and their friends, we used to bring big groups like 15, 20 fourth graders to
Hmm.
watch them play, and it was so I don't know, it was so gratifying as a parent because
Yeah.
they got to see like they're playing on the same court as like Shaq and Kobe. Really? I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Um,
No, and that's I mean, like I live in Toronto now, and
uh-huh.
the Women's World Championship in hockey is coming to Brampton in
Mm,
April, and
yeah, yeah,
I'm excited to take, not only my daughter but my
sure.
son to those games, right? Like that
Yeah,
was what I gave my life to, and we've been fighting for women's hockey and for young boys too, to see, women play at an elite level is really important as well. And same
yeah.
with, they just announced recently they're going to bring a WNBA game here to Toronto in May. And
I heard
so
that
I
first
already,
first one. Yeah,
look in the circle, where can I get tickets, right? I want to bring my family.
yeah,
I want to bring my daughter, my son, and
mhm.
show them, my kids are little, obviously. They're
Yeah,
1 and 3, but
yeah, yeah,
I think it's still important to instill in them early, you
yeah,
know, how
yeah,
how great women, female athletes are in women's
yeah, for
sports, and
sure. Yeah.
showing our support and getting there. So yeah, excited for those couple of events and others that are around as well.
Well, how lucky they are to have you as mom to lead the way, to show to really be a role model. I mean, you describe yourself as an advocate, mentor, and definitely across the board, you've done that, since you were a young age. Really, you probably didn't even realize you were doing it, but even by being a girl on boys' teams, you were telling other girls, yeah, yeah, this is possible. We can do this. The last thing I wanted to ask you was, and I'm sure you've been asked this a million times, but the greatest moment in your career. I mean, is it safe to say it was winning the 2018 gold? Is that
It's
fair?
pretty, yeah, that's pretty safe
Yeah.
bet. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it was obviously, the culmination of my career. It was the last time I didn't know it at the time, but it was the last time I was probably pretty sure, but played for
Yeah.
Team USA. Had been through a lot, right?
Mhm.
14-year career with the national team, came up short in two Olympics,
Mhm.
won like very heartbreaking fashion.
Mm.
And just as a leader had gone through a lot in those 4, 5, 6, 8 years leading up to Pyeongchang,
Yeah.
with that group. And it was just so special for us to win and to celebrate with our families and each other. And really was the icing on the cake after, a long uphill battle
Yeah.
of that
Yeah.
elusive gold medal for us. And so it was a, yeah, really special time for our team. And
Mm.
yeah, pretty, as you said, safe to say, that was probably the highlight of my career, but so many others, that you could
Yeah.
pick at and would be right underneath there. And certainly what I talked about earlier, helping to lead our team to really change the landscape of women's hockey in the United States, and that 2017 gender inequity battle with USA Hockey was another proud moment in my career.
Yeah, Coach K used to always tell the team, the USA men's team, basketball team, that you're not playing for the name on the back, you're playing for the name on the front, right? And
Hmm.
that's a cliche. A lot of coaches say that, but when you get to that level and you're winning for your country, right?
Yeah.
It's got to be extra special for you, right?
It is. I mean, the gravity of that moment when you think about it, it's, yeah, it's huge, and
Yeah,
it's so emotional. And the every 4 years playing in that Olympic gold medal final, you can feel as a player, the whole country, the whole world is watching you, and that's so exciting. And there's
yeah,
a lot of pressure, but it's a really intense, important moment that I've had the opportunity, to play in multiple times, and I'll
yeah.
never, ever, ever take that for granted. It's a special thing, and to do it alongside of 22 equally and impressive
Mhm.
women
Yeah,
that have worked so hard and laid everything on the line. And as I touched on earlier, like what you go through as a female athlete, it's much different than what you see on the glorious TV of the male pro athletes all the time, right? And so
very true.
to end up in that moment, with those women, and to be successful, it's really special. And I can't I can't use any other words other than just special.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
it's very special.
Amazing. Megan, you're a founding member of the Professional Women's Hockey Players Association, right? Where do you see women's hockey going? We could have this conversation about a few different sports, but in terms of hockey, where do you see it going in the future?
Yeah, we're right on the cusp of really a sustainable elite place for women to play.
Mhm.
There's been a lot of work that's been happening, in the US and Canada. A lot of people that are passionate about women's hockey,
Mhm.
And I all I can say is I know we're right on the cusp of something that's going to be great, and a place for women to be treated like professionals and to earn a living wage, you
Mhm.
know, and everything that comes with that, right?
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
support, the care as athletes, and I've been fighting for women's hockey my whole life, really. I guess you could say since I was 3 years old, and you know, I've played in leagues and played on teams where you have the, you know, 11 p.m. practice slot and the dingy dark rink and no, you know, no hot water in the locker rooms. And we're a lot more advanced than that right now.
Yeah.
But still a little bit of a ways to go. And I'm excited because like I said, I know that women's pro hockey is right on the cusp of you know, getting where it belongs.
Mhm. Yeah.
And it's yeah, exciting times.
Yeah, we just recently had a game, USA against Canada exhibition game at crypto.com, used to be
Yep.
Staples Center. I mean, I think it was sold out.
Yeah, it's
Um, my
amazing.
group covered it. It was super exciting to watch, and it's got to be encouraging for you in your sport to see what's happened in the WNBA with their CBA agreement and
Hmm.
what they've been able to achieve with that. And of course, the women's
Totally.
soccer team and all that. So, with all that being said, and I know how busy you are, I got to thank you a million times over, Megan, for just taking the time. But it's an honor to meet you. I mean, really, you know, to meet somebody who is that passionate and relentless about what you do and you love what you do and you love your sport and you want to see it grow. That's very encouraging to me, not just as a sports fan, but as a dad and just I want to see it. I'd love for one of my granddaughters to play professional hockey. That would be like a dream come true for me.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's awesome,
So,
and that's the
yeah.
goal, right? I look at my little daughter and
Yeah.
I think, "Man, how cool would it be if one day, you know, she's consistently playing like an 82 game season on
Yeah.
TV in front of
Yeah.
15,000 people," and then that's the dream, right?
Yeah.
I love working in the NHL because I
Yeah.
love the sport, and you know, the guys that get there have worked and earned to be there,
Yep.
and
Yep.
women are working and earning just as much. It's just
Yeah.
the landscape's different, and so to continue to you know, push on the landscape and pave the way for women to have that opportunity is it's an exciting thing to do. And I look forward to your granddaughter and my daughter, you know,
I
maybe
don't
they'll be
have one
teammates
yet.
one day.
One day I'll have one. I don't have
Yeah,
one yet,
one day. There
but
you
that
go.
would be an amazing thing for me to see. Yeah. Well, Megan, thanks so much. Best of luck to the Devils this season.
Thank you.
If you ever go when you go to Prudential Center, it's still called
Hmm.
Prudential Center, right?
They do. Yep.
I actually have a permanent photo exhibit there. I was part of the art kind of initiative when the building opened,
Oh,
and
awesome.
a good friend of mine was charged with installing all that art. So those murals and all that stuff you see, but I have
Yeah.
a permanent exhibit there. So I love that place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's honestly it's a great building. It
Oh,
really is. It's a
yeah.
great building, home to
Yep.
obviously wonderful sporting events and
Yep.
concerts, and it's a great place to be entertained. So I love being there.
Yeah. Well, I hope we get to cross paths at some point. You never know.
Yeah, same.
Maybe a Stanley Cup final down the road. You never know.
That would be great.
Anyway, so great to connect with you. Thanks a million for making the time today,
Yeah.
and best of luck with everything.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Like I said in the beginning, folks, it was truly a pleasure speaking with Megan for this episode. On top of being an incredible athlete with a long resume of accomplishments on the ice, she's an amazing person and a true role model. I'm inspired by her passion for gender equity and her relentless pursuit of equality across the board in our society. Keep leading the way, Megan. Many thanks to my terrific producer, Eugenia Chow, and our editors, Megan and Sean, as well as our social media manager, Michael. Remember, everyone, you can find us on the iHeart app and online, as well as Apple and Spotify and your favorite podcast platform. Keep following us on Instagram at Legends of Sport, our Twitter at Legends_of Sport, our website, legendsofsport.net, and our YouTube and TikTok channels, Legends of Sport. My photography can be found on Instagram and Twitter at ADB Photo Inc. Thanks as always, everyone, for continuing to support the Legends of Sport podcast. Remember to rate and review and tell all your friends. We'll be back next week with another great guested episode. Until then, as always, stay safe and stay well.